The short version is I have come to believe very strongly that Ronald Reagan was right when he said that government is the problem. It's not the solution to the problem. He was right. He recognized it, and the rest of us failed to see it. So now when I hear about standoffs, let's say, between American citizens and the Bureau of Land Management, for example, or ATF or DEA, I no longer believe what is reported in the media. I no longer believe the strategic leaks that come from whatever bureau or agency to spin the story. I've gotten to the point where I'm obsessed with doing my own investigations.
Yes.
And I read all source material because the truth has to be out there somewhere. I just feel like I have to put it together for myself. So now when we talk about the Kennedy assassinations or RFK, or MLK, or as we said earlier, Ruby Ridge or Waco, whatever it is, I default to doubting the government account.
So you worked for the government during Waco. That was my first day working at a newspaper. So I remember the chaos in the newsroom when that happened. So that was 93.
93.
That must have been the spring of 93. Correct. Is that right?
Yes.
So, boy, over 30 years ago. But you worked for the government then.
I was at the CIA at the time, and it was on every TV in the CIA. And I remember looking at it, not really having an opinion, and my boss saying, well, it's about time they finally moved on that operation.
So what was that? Boy, that's really a forgotten moment in American history. So there was a religious sect known as the Branch Davidians, or that's what we called them.
That's right.
A guy called David Koresh, that was his cult name anyway, and they were accused of mistreating children.
Yes.
Which maybe they were, I have no idea.
And hoarding weapons.
And hoarding weapons. And they were surrounded by federal agents at their compound in Waco, Texas. And that standoff culminated in a shootout in which federal agents were killed.
Yes.
And most of the occupants of that compound were burned to death.
I think it was something like 27 of them. And half of them were children.
Yeah.
Like young children.
Yeah. I think it was maybe more than 27.
More than 27.
Yeah. It was
a lot.
It was awful. But what was it? Was that more than what we were told it was, do you think?
Well, the spin was this was a dangerous lunatic and he had to be stopped before he used those guns to go out and kill people. The truth of the matter is you're allowed to buy as many guns as you want.
I've proven that. Yep. I have.
Good.
You're not allowed to buy guns because you're a convicted felon.
I'm a convicted felon.
And you've done nothing wrong. And I really hope you receive that presidential pardon soon.
Thank you. And on top of losing my gun, I lost my pension. The Obama Justice Department seized my federal pension.
Why?
20 years of proud service, $770,000. I'm going to have to work until the day I die. Only a pardon.
How could you have worked at CIA for all those years and not wound up rich?
Yeah, right.
I have to say that is the story that no one ever tells, and I just know it from my just personal life, just living in D.C. my whole life. They're all rich. Have you noticed this?
They are all rich.
Why are there all these former CIA officers who are rich?
Some of them, some of them get enormous book advances. Others make this odd transition into venture capital or consulting or butts in the seats kind of, Booz Allen style firms. A lot of them go overseas and stay overseas. So the CIA pays for everything. The only thing you pay for is your phone bill. And they just invest for 30 years and come out with plenty of money.
I've lived in nice neighborhoods for a long time. And there are always CIA people on my street. Always. Half of McLean, Virginia is CIA.
Yeah,
and the District of Columbia in Florida. And it's just like legit rich.
Yeah, rich.
Is that, that's not a good sign, is it?
No, it's not a good sign. Because you're not supposed to capitalize on a position.
Not when you have the power of life and death over people. That's what bothers me. It's not just like people from the Labor Department or Commerce who are like leveraging their skills to riches. It's like people who have information that they're the only ones legally allowed to possess, like true inside information, and the power to kill people.
That's right.
Like, that's one category.
With no questions asked.
If you criticize any of the intel agencies, particularly CIA, which obviously the most powerful, they're immediately defensive about it. Like it's their job to defend these agencies when in fact their job, as you said, is to oversee these agencies and to keep them within the boundaries of the Constitution. How does that happen?
I say all the time that we really did have real oversight for a while, from the 70s into the 1980s, a decade and a half, where people really did exert influence over intelligence policy by really examining some of these covert action programs. But Pat Moynihan is dead, and Barry Goldwater's dead, and all these other senators and congressmen, Otis Pike, they're all gone. They're all dead. And now we've got people who just egg on the intelligence communities. And I'll give you
I know them.
I'll give you an
disgusting
example. When I got out of prison, I was invited to a dinner at the Greek ambassador's residence. And I went, and there was a senator there, a Democratic senator there, who's a member of the Intelligence Committee. And so he came up to me and he said, "Hey, welcome home. We were really worried about you." And I said, "Oh, thank you." I said, "Senator, I've got to tell you, I was disappointed that you didn't say anything. You didn't express any support or anything related to my case." And he got very angry. And he said, "Listen, it took everything I had just to not lose my security clearance." And I said, "So you're afraid of them? That's what this is." And he walked away.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting. But I think you can go through, certainly in the Senate, you can go through the roster of the 100 members of the Senate and then compare it to the list of the permanent, the Committee on Intelligence. And those are the worst. Those are the most dishonest people.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
The most rotten, the most morally compromised, the most dishonest by far.
I have to agree. That was my experience.
How does that happen? Like sitting on the Senate Intel Committee is like just a sign that
you're one of the in crowd.
Worse than that.
Yeah.
Like you're not someone I would invite to dinner at my house.
No, I agree.
How do they identify the most morally compromised people?
I wonder if this began with 9/11. I think that it didn't. I think it began earlier than that, like during the Clinton administration, where everybody where the intelligence community was seen as a force for good.
Yes.
Which was odd to me.
So anyway, the first 5 days, you were in shock.
I was in shock. I was in prison for 40 minutes, and the only thing that the cop who processed me said to me was, "If somebody comes into your cell uninvited, that's an act of aggression." And I said, "Great, thank you." And then he walked away. And sure enough, these two guys walk in. One of them had a swastika that took up his entire neck, came up onto his face. The other one had "fuck you" tattooed on his eyelids.
It's like out of a movie.
It was nuts. And I jumped up and I said, "What do you want?" Because I thought, it's two of them, it's one of me, but I'm going to do my best.
You got to, yeah.
And the one with the swastika said, "Are you the CIA guy?" And I said, "Yeah, so?" And he said, "Are you a fag?" And I said, "No, I'm not a fag." I haven't even said that word in so many years, but
we're not in Georgetown anymore.
And he says, "Are you a rat?" I said, "No, I'm not a rat. I didn't have anybody else in my case." And he said, "Are you a chomo?" I said, "I don't know what that word means." And he goes, "Chomo," like I'm stupid. "Chomo, child molester." I said, "No, I'm not a child molester." And he says, "Okay, you can sit with the Aryans in the cafeteria." And I said, "Oh, okay then." And funny thing, a year later, I lived right across the hall from a senior captain, the number 3 in one of New York's 5 families, right? And he said, great guy, not even good guy, a great guy. I would give him
a good fellow, really.
He was a good fella. I'd give him the New York Times every day. He would give me the New York Post. So we traded papers every day.
Perfect.
So, he got a Christmas card one year from Derek Jeter that really impressed me.
I've met Derek Jeter. Nice man.
Sweet guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, he said to me, "Let me ask you something. Why do you sit with those Nazi retards in the cafeteria?" I said, I don't know. My first day here, they told me to sit with them. And he says, very dramatically, from today, you're with the Italians. And so from that day, I was with the Italians.
And you're still friends with some of them.
I am.
We were talking about at dinner last night.
We talk frequently.
Good guys.